What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Raceday show for Michigan for the Cup Series tomorrow. A lot of people are probably watching this on replay, which is good. They'll have all morning to do so. So we're going to continue to try to get these out Saturday evenings, just like I was earlier in the season. That gives you pretty much all day Sunday for replay. It just kind of works out with timing for me a little better than Sunday mornings for the most part. So we've got Josh here with us again. We brought him in to do some NASCAR work for us specifically to start with. And he's doing a great job with Xfinity, Truck Series, Cup, everything that the NASCAR has to offer. So how's it going tonight, Josh?
It's going good, man. A little late, but hey, man, I'm here, ready to
go. Hey, we're trucking along. we do have a couple live viewers, so
oh, really? Right on.
That's nice to see here at this time of night.
One of them? DOB has got to be one of them, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll know here in just a second in chat.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do today is go through a little bit of lineup construction thoughts just in general for Michigan, some track, overall thoughts. Then we'll go through each range, maybe talk a little bit about practice as we go with certain guys. From what I can tell, this practice would be a little more indicative than what we had last week with the differing tires and things that people were running that just kind of convoluted the data a little bit. But before we get into that, if you look in the description of the video, you've got links to sign up over on WAP for our site. It gets you access to the Discord, and then that gets you all of our content each and every week. So we have some NASCAR specific packages and then all sports. We have some football early bird specials. Soccer is still up as well. That started today. So be sure to check that out. I think $25 a month for all sports is quite the bargain. When you look at all the other prices in the industry, it's probably worth $25 a month just for NASCAR, to be honest. But we've got so much coming back with all the football. College football will be back next week, small slate. Going to start working on that sheet sometime soon. Shouldn't be too bad to pump out, and we'll get that out at least early in the week, maybe tomorrow night.
I'm nervous and excited for college football.
Yeah. So we'll get that back. We got EPL back, started yesterday, Showdown, but today was the first main full slate of that. Baseball every day, golf every week, even through the fall. So tons going on. Be sure to check us out there. And we also have a new partnership with Ship It Nation. Have some links in the description of the video as well that Auto feels a code Jaeger15 that gives you 15% off of their product. They're a very good complement, good pricing structure to go with ours. So be sure to check that out. You can get a free week trial with them as well. So let's hop in. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about Michigan in general. I'm going to pull up the track history tab and we'll kind of talk through some things that I noticed. But go ahead with some initial Michigan thoughts.
Well, obviously it's a much faster track than last week. I mean, we're talking 200 something miles per hour. I think 210, 200. Multiple different grooves in each turns. That I do know. I know that Ford has won the last 9 races here, which is crazy to me. I think the last Chevrolet to win was Larson when he was with he was in the Target car. Who was that? Oh, I'm having a brain fart.
Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's the last one to win in a Chevrolet. It's been Ford since, and most of it's been Kevin Harvick.
Yeah.
But Larson always runs well here. I mean, we dive right in. I mean, Larson, 5th, 7th, 3rd, and obviously 2020 he had off. 9th and 3rd. I mean, the dude just seems to run well everywhere. It doesn't matter what the track is like. It doesn't matter if it's dirt, asphalt. It doesn't matter. He's just one of, if not the best race car driver in the entire world. I don't know how he does it. Hamlin runs well here. Third, fifth, second, sixth, second. I mean, these two guys are just at the top of their game, and it's honestly impressive to watch both of them drive. It really is. I know it wasn't a whole lot of practice today. I think the most laps anyone got in was like 18 or something like that. But I mean, that's still good enough to figure out what your car's doing. Larson was what, third in practice? It looks like.
Yeah, it looks like him and Truex were the class of the field in practice.
Yeah. Truex I'm liking a lot this weekend, but Hamlin was 29th in practice, then qualified first. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There wasn't a qualifying. What am I talking about? Rained out. Braid for us. Late. Yeah. It's late, y'all. It's been a long day. But still, 29th in practice. But his track history here, Hamlin, I don't care what his practice was. I mean, his track history here is phenomenal. The guy's going to find the top 10. I mean, he short of a crash, the guy's going to find the top 10. He always does. And Truex looked really good in practice. He had, I don't know how many laps he ran, but he was second in practice. And how do they place the field on qualifying? I wasn't able to watch that. Did they do it off like track history or this year's stuff? How did they set the field?
I don't know.
Sorry, guys. I wasn't able to watch it. I had some family stuff going on. But his track history here speaks for itself as well. Second, sixth, 10th, third, fourth, third. I mean, come on. And he's starting 24th. To me, he's a lock. You got to play him. I mean, you have to play him.
Yeah, single entry stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't. Just other than just hoping something happens and you get leverage. With the speed that he has, it looks like. I mean, he's ran well here. And the starting position. When you look at on the track history tab of the sheet here, going back to what you mentioned, that it's quite a different, setup than last week in terms of a lot of things. But last week we were looking for 2, maybe 3 dominators in a lineup. If you look at last year at Michigan, Buescher and Truex were the main lap leaders, 52 and 47. Bubba led 21, Alex Bowman 19. And if you'll notice a trend over the last most of the races here, with only 200 laps, there's not a ton of dominator points in that. It looks to me like the trend is that the laps led gets spread out quite a bit. In 22, Harvick led 38, Bubba led 22, Hamlin led 38. And then you had another group of 3 guys, Chastain, Suarez, and Bell, who were all right around 30 as well. So that's just not adding up to a ton of dominator points. Back in 21, which was, I guess, before the new car, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, it was still spread out then too. Larson led 70, Chase led 68. Those were the 2 main guys. I mean, obviously you would like to have those lap leaders, but since the new car, especially, we've kind of seen it spread out even more, and so to me that even pushes Truex more up my board. In that we want these place differential guys. He's obviously got the upside to lead and dominate too.
Exactly. Once he gets up. To me, the reason why you don't see a whole bunch of dominator points here is because everybody's on different strategies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm not going to be necessarily just trying to jam in guys that I think are just to lead laps. Like if it just happens that way, it does. I mean, I would obviously, and everybody's probably going to have this thought to start lineups, especially in single entry, but Larson Truex seems like the no-brainer, starting point.
Yeah, Larson Truex or Hamlin Truex, one of the 2. You're definitely going. Yeah.
So that's just kind of the trend that I look at. That it's not a week that you're going to have more than likely have 150 out of 200 lap leader, or even 102 dominators that lead 100 laps each. You're not going to see that. you're probably going to see a max out of 50 to 75 for one guy, which, yeah, that's nice. It gives you some extra floor. But this is a tool that we have on the sheet, which is the fantasy matrix. You can kind of go in here and play around. If you make a copy of the sheet for yourself, you can say, all right, what if you can kind of use a calculator almost and say, what if Larson finishes third and leads 50 laps, and fastest laps he gets. I like to kind of look at the trend of the people who lead laps. How many fastest laps do they get? So last year, Buescher led 52 and only had 14 fastest laps. Truex had 42, which I'm sure was the most. So let's just give him 35. And you can kind of see, you can start to see how do those add up? Does it affect it a ton? Does it not? You're getting 28 dominator points total in that scenario. So obviously you want somebody that's going to lead a quarter of the race. But I'm just saying that it's spread out a little more than a place like a Richmond, and you're not going to have the volume to rack up as many as they had last week. So place differential becomes more valuable than necessarily even what we had last week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So moving down a little bit as we look at, it's interesting that Ford, like you mentioned, has won so many races here, because it's not that they've just every single time they come here, they dominate. I mean, Toyota's ran good and had good races here. Chevrolet has as well. I mean, last year it was a Ford and Toyota. The year before it was so many guys, I guess, but it was Ford, Toyota, Chevy, Toyota that led over around 20 to 30 laps of the race. So it's not that they just come out here and all the Fords run up front constantly. You get a good mix.
Yeah. They just seem to be there at the end, Ford does somehow. I don't know if it's Ford strategy or what it is, but they just always seem to be there at this track. Ford puts a big emphasis on this track for sure. I mean, you hear that every year, and the announcers talk about it every year. Ford puts a big emphasis on winning this race.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, the trend over the last couple of years, I mean, they've not had, for the most part, I would say Toyota and Chevrolet has had more of the speed that dominates races. And Ford, I mean, for the most part over the course of the season, they just don't have the numbers of races that they are the guys that dominate compared to the other two manufacturers.
Yeah.
So when they have a place like this, I think that makes a lot of sense. They put a lot of effort into tracks like this that they know they have a chance to win at, or they've hit on something in the past. So yeah, I mean, I think that makes a ton of sense to maybe bump these Ford guys a little more in your lineups this week. In some areas, maybe do some mini team stacks. You've got Keselowski and Buescher. I know we're dropping down a little bit, but Keselowski and Buescher starting in the mid-teens. You've got them both highlighted as primary plays this week, and I don't hate that idea of maybe you do a little RFK stack in the mid-range and hope that they hit on something. Obviously, they did last year, which it was kind of the time of year that Buescher just got hot, there. But, you could do that again, and I don't hate that idea in the mid-range.
Exactly. I mean, they've been decently fast all year, and this is where they picked it up last year, and they were fast the rest of the year. So why the same thing this week?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got a few guys there that are good place differential options in the mid. Closing off the top range, though, I think Truex would be number one for me in my rankings. And we're going to have rankings and cores up. Probably I'll have mine up later tonight because I've got stuff in the morning. But
and mine
we'll have all that up
on
the sheet here. If you guys are new, we have tier rankings that goes 3 different tiers, and then we have cores as well for FanDuel and DraftKings. But we're going to have that up. As of now, the way that it sits for me, it would be Truex 1 of 9K and above. Truex 1, Larson 2, Hamlin 3, probably Keselowski 4, and then I don't know, 5 is kind of up in the air for me. You have Blaney as a secondary. I think that's a solid option. I don't know that he'll get a ton of ownership. What do you think about his ownership?
One of the reasons why I highlight. So for me, it will go Truex, Hamlin, Larson, Keselowski, then Blaney. Okay. And the reason why I think Blaney's going to get a whole bunch of ownership is because he's expensive and he starts in the 8th position. But I think he could easily finish top 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the idea of going to a low 9s dominator either in a Chase and Byron, and that's the same type of deal where you could do a mini team stack of Larson and one of those guys together as your 2 main guys to dominate the race. They were both good in practice. I mean, those cars were 3 of the 4 top 5-lap averages were Hendrick. So, they seem to have some speed. So Byron and Chase, I think, would be solid options in the low 9s. Good price tags on those guys.
I agree. I'm a Chase Elliott fan, so I always want him to do well. But there's something about Byron. Second half of the season, I don't feel like I can trust him anymore. Honestly, they lost something, and that's why I didn't highlight him. Because he runs well here, but I just there's something about the second half of the season I just can't trust him. Just like Kyle Busch, same thing. We'll get to that in here in a little bit, but.
Yeah, I don't love the trend for Byron. I think I would definitely put Chase ahead of him out of those 2 for sure.
Yeah.
So we can move on down into the 7 and 8K range together. We've got a lot of kind of secondary options. It looks like here as what we've got highlighted. You've got Buescher, who we've already talked about at the top there of the range. You've got Ty Gibbs, you've got Chastain, Bowman, another Hendrick car. Let's see how he fared in practice with all of his teammates being – he was a top 10 car, and he's going to start 22nd, so solid place differential there. Yeah. If you think he can – he's one of those guys to me that when he has to dominate, I don't want to play him, but when he's got to finish top 10, I'm perfectly fine with him.
He's so does Byron. I just – fully trust him. You know what I mean? But I do want to say this. I truly believe this is the weekend that Ty Gibbs could possibly win his first race. And I'm not a big fan of Joe Gibbs racing in general. I don't know why. I just haven't really been. I mean, obviously, no matter what, we have people we like and don't like in sports. It just happens. And there's something about Ty Gibbs that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know what it is, but I truly believe that this could be the weekend that he can win the race. I really honestly do. He's ran well here every year that he's raced here the past 2, 10th and 11th. What was his practice? I forgot. I've looked at so many of these.
He wasn't that good, but
no, he was
I'm willing to give him a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I didn't watch it, obviously. I mean, it could have been a deal where he went out late and then didn't get hardly any laps. I mean, that's something we could dig into a little more.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to write down everybody's lap, the amount of laps that they made here, and it's on my phone. If I get onto it now, you're going to lose me. So, but
yeah, one guy in that range, like I said, I like Ty Gibbs too for place differential.
Yeah.
And then Bowman, another very solid place differential guy, a guy that you don't have highlighted that I think could be really low on. He rates out well in our model. And was solid in practice is Bubba. Toyota is showing some speed with like Truex. And, Bubba's led laps here multiple times. So I think he could be a sneaky, cheaper mid-range dominator that you throw in there. And when he gets you 30 to 50 laps led, that just gives you that extra floor. And again, I think it's going to be pretty spread out in terms of laps led this week. So even though he's starting 5th, I think he's an interesting option in that mid-range.
I like it. There you go. I just felt like there were certain ones. I mean, I feel like I highlighted too many. So there were certain.
I feel like that way too.
But I feel like I've already got enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I feel like that a lot of times too. Yeah. Ross was, he could be another one of those guys, just the same way that he could be a similar play to Bubba, similar practice times, and similar starting position. You've got Cindric, and then Barry's in that range too. I mean, we talked about Harvick. Can that translate to Josh Berry? I don't know, but
I'm not sure. I didn't highlight him because I just didn't like his track history here. I mean, 26th and 34th. 34th could have easily been a crash.
I wonder which car he was in last year when he ran. Who was he running for? I wonder.
It was. Ooh. It had to be a Ford car.
I can't remember. Because Chase was back at this point, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Or was it Bowman?
Oh, you know what? He could have been in a Hendrick car because he ran for junior in Xfinity. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, we can figure that out. I mean, he's interesting. Just how is he in practice? Probably not good. Yeah, not good. Cindric, another Ford in that range he just didn't run many laps. And
I do.
He's solid. But talk to me about some of these value plays for you, like a Cindric, and you can even start going down a little bit too.
So first of all, Eric Jones always runs good here, no matter how bad their car's been. Somehow that dude, he just always runs good here, and that's why I like him this weekend. Stenhouse, kind of the same thing. 2 mile track. It's obviously not a restrictor plate track where he always runs well at, but it's a fast track. He was 20th in practice, and he's starting 30th. I mean, that's not a huge place differential, but for $6,200, his track history here is decent. Past 21st last year. I think 2022 he's 33rd. It's probably a crash. And then 12th, 19th. I mean, he has decent history here. Justin Haley, they're always sneaky fast. And they just seem to always be in the top 15. Either that or they crash, 1 2. So for me, Haley is also a good play. 18th in practice, starting 29th. Good place differential there. AJ Allmendinger, I mean, come on. 10th in practice, starting 35th. He always runs good at this track. He just signed a new contract. He's going to have some confidence coming in. He's running Cup full-time next year. To me, AJ Allmendinger is – if you're playing anybody in this range, I'm going there first. Depending on what other kind of salary I need for other guys up top, I'm starting there for me. Corey LaJoie also runs well here. I mean, look at that. Starting 31st, 15th, 19th the past 2 years. What did he do in practice? Where am I at here? He did not run well in practice, 32nd. But again, you don't know how many laps he got. He could have went out right before the rain started. Who knows? I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to watch it either. But for me, down in the value range, I'm starting with AJ Allmendinger. He's my number one down there. Probably going to Stenhouse, then Haley, then Corey LaJoie, in that order.
I think the interesting thing that backs up that I know AJ didn't even have a 5-lap average. I mean, he was quick, but the thing that backs up for me that speed is Hemrick, the other teammate there, and how quick he was in practice, and he's almost the cheapest option on the slate.
Honestly, I thought I was scrolled down all the way, and I'm not. I forgot about Hemrick. Yes, you're right. Hemrick is going to – what was he in practice? He was 13th.
He was 6th in 5-lap average.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Man.
I mean, that's ahead of Brad. That's ahead of Blaney.
Yep.
Reddick, Bell. I mean, I know there wasn't many laps, but
still, I mean,
the fact that he was – I mean, that was ahead of Bowman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was – that there's something there. Because
5,100.
Both teammates were that quick. Maybe it's just short run speed, but I don't really care in that price range.
Yeah, 5,100. I mean, basically he just doesn't have to finish. He's basically finished 28th or up. I mean,
Yeah, I
Run.
mean, you talked about it some last week, and it's a little different here at Michigan, but it's like one of those things where even if it is just short run speed, it's like the getting lap deal.
Yeah.
It's even though they're starting that far back, it just kind of takes them a little bit out of that danger if they can move up 5 to 10 spots early and getting into the 20s. I know they're not going to. I mean, people aren't going to get lapped like they were at Richmond, of course, or any
No,
short track.
no, but I mean, it still happens, throughout the course of the race. It still happens, but
Yeah.
with that speed, he should be able to get up in the top 25. I mean, and be safe from getting lapped, I would think.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what, and we can play around with this a little bit here on the show. But I don't know what, and I don't usually like doing this at all. As far as almost double punting, but I wouldn't even hate the idea of just taking both of those guys and seeing what else you could get with your team.
Who's that?
And hoping that team has hit on something. Again, one of those mini team stacks. And see what they get, Dinger and Hemrick together, and then just go up, and you got like 9,800 left, 98.25 for 4 spots. I mean, you can do Larson, Truex, probably have to play Brad, and then you get another one of those. Can you get Hamlin with that? Oh, Lord.
Oh, can you
Let's
really?
see. Martin Truex gives you 93. No, you can't quite get that.
No,
I mean, you could play Ty Gibbs and then probably play him.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's all. You can go throw Ty Gibbs or Bubba or Ross in there, and you could play Hamlin as well. You want to talk about leverage? I mean, come on. The odds of people having all three, Larson, Hamlin, and Truex.
Yeah, you'd have to go. But you could get to Blaney if you went down to Bubba with that team. But if you went down to like Bowman, you can get Hamlin. Yeah. So I don't love that, but if you think about it, you're probably going to play when you get into lineup building. You're probably going to play 2 guys below 7K anyway.
Yeah.
So, if you're playing 2 guys below there anyway, what's the difference in? Truthfully, I mean, what's the difference in Ricky Stenhouse and Daniel Hemrick? It's not crazy difference.
No, I mean, we're not at Dega where Stenhouse dominates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honestly, Hemrick does pretty good at Talladega too.
But I mean, it's not. Yes, if pricing wasn't a thing, Stenhouse is better than Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah.
Just on a if there was nothing else that you were looking at, but I mean, there's definitely a world where Daniel Hemrick has more speed than Ricky Stenhouse. It's not like saying there's $1,000 difference. It's not like saying Kyle Larson versus Kyle Busch. I mean, it's not it's not even that far, I don't think.
But I mean, and Hemrick doesn't have to do much to make value at 5,100.
No, if you do that team and you nail, like I talked about a couple races ago here, there were 6 different guys that led around 30 laps. If it was spread out across 4 instead of 6, 3 or 4 guys, and you were able to nail Larson, Truex, Blaney, take your pick, Hamlin, and then maybe Bubba gets 25 or something like that. If you're able to nail the dominators with it being spread around like that, and then you just have to punt 2 cheap guys that can get you around the 20 to 25th place finish. With, potentially upside in the teens. I mean, again, that's not completely out of the question. No, I don't hate that build. I don't know that that's exactly what I'll land on. But for the most part, I kind of like the idea of going more stars and scrubs here when you have a guy like Truex with the place differential. Yeah. You can get another 1 or 2 dominators at the top. From 9K and above, and then get you one of those mid-range, either place differential plays or maybe another mid-range dominator. I don't hate that on the slate.
And honestly, I trust Hemrick with his car more than I trust Stenhouse to not crash.
Yeah, Daniel Hemrick is not Cody Ware to me.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference. So I just think the price tag's too cheap. And again, I'm not saying Daniel Hemrick's going to go top 10 this thing.
No,
I'm just saying Daniel Hemrick is not and in this car is not a ride around in the back. May break into the 30s or into the top 30.
Nope.
Yes, he could end up finishing in the 30s. I'm not going to say he couldn't, but I'm just saying he's a better option than a lot of those cheaper guys.
Yeah. No, I actually agree. I didn't have my thing scrolled down all the way when I was saying that earlier. I'd probably go Allmendinger, Hemrick, then Stenhouse, LaJoy, and then LaJoy and Haley are probably coin flip for the last one, in my opinion. But but it would definitely be Allmendinger or Hemrick as my favorite value play for sure.
Yeah. In that, and again, I'll have these final ranks later on. But what do you think about Eric Jones? I mean, he had some sneaky good, solid speed, top 15 car in practice. As we move back up a little bit in pricing, starts 28th. I think he could get some ownership there. But I think he's a solid option.
Yeah, I think he's going to get some ownership with his track history here for sure.
Yeah, I think under 7K, my initial rankings would be Jones, Dinger, probably Hemrick, and then Haley, Stenhouse, LaJoy. I like the same highlights that you have. I don't really have anything different down in that range.
I don't really
stands out.
He would be definitely first or second for me in that.
Unless range. Austin Dillon just decides to go dominate the race again.
You mean plow through people? Are we going to have this? Are we going to have this discussion? We ruined chat. People couldn't even find the sheets we were talking about.
Yeah, they couldn't find the sheet.
I felt bad. I was like, oh
no. Yeah, that was definitely what it was. People aren't used to seeing that much chatter in the week, and yeah.
Just let everybody know.
That's why I went in and pinned it, and I was like, we got to pin this schedule post.
I did change some highlights about a half hour ago. So if you've looked at the sheet earlier this afternoon, look at it again because I did change some things. I had Cody Ware, took him out, put Hemrick in. I changed a couple people from blue to green and one from green to blue. So definitely need to go back and change and check things if you haven't or if you looked at it this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm done highlighting. It is good to go, in my opinion. And I just got to figure out what core I want to give you guys tomorrow. Because
I feel good about the direction that we've got. A lot of times, I will say, if you're running multiple lineups, a lot of times, say I'm doing a 20 max, I kind of like the idea of going, in on lesser value plays and spreading out more at the top, which is kind of inverse of what some people that I've heard talk about this like. But to me, it's like the top guys, any of them out of a certain group could lead any given week if they hit on something, or even later in the race, they hit on a change to the car or something. So to me, I would rather traditionally go in on a few, or this week go in on a few, a little fewer value plays and spread more at the top. But I could also see the thought behind keeping a super tight core and going Larson, Hamlin, Truex only from 9K and above, or outside of Byron and above, 9,100 and above.
Yeah.
I could see playing only those three at big percentages and then spreading more down low. I mean, we have 5 guys. So I could see going either way, but I think choosing one of those and not just locking yourself into that every single week because I think that can change. A lot of people I've heard say one way or the other, it's like a concrete thing to them. But I think there's a lot of variance in that, depending on the track, depending on the pricing, depending on the starting positions. Where do you want to tighten your core at? Is it at the top or is it at the bottom? I'm leaning right now towards tightening it at the bottom and spreading more at the top.
At this track, I agree because of what you said earlier. You don't have one or two dominators that dominate the whole race. You know what I mean? So at this track, I actually agree with that. You want to spread the top out, try to get as much dominator points as possible. You know what I mean? And just hope that you hit the value plays right.
And that's where you get people like Chase into your pool.
Yeah.
Because if you're tightening at the top and you go all in on Larson and Truex, you're not getting any of, and Hamlin, you're not getting a whole lot of Blaney probably. You're not getting a whole lot of Chase. Yep. You're not getting a whole lot of Byron. But when you spread at the top, it gives you outs to where when something happens to Truex, you're not 100% Martin Truex in 20 lineups. And, you got leverage on the field with a guy like Chase.
Yeah. And
over Truex.
Yeah, you still have a shot to make money,
Yep.
That's the only thing I don't like about the way I do it. I do one lineup for everything, and that's it. So when something happens, I'm shot. But it also keeps my bankroll longer too. So that's why I do it,
Yeah, I do that in a lot of sports. Baseball being one for the most part.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I run a lot of lineups in baseball. And
football, the only ones I do 3 or more lineups in.
Yeah. I tend to dabble in the 20 max for football for sure. Golf here and there, but honestly, over the course of the year, I'm probably playing more one lineup weeks than multi-entry stuff for golf. So, and for NASCAR, I like to play multiple lineups just because of the variance and things.
Yeah.
So the 20 max is a really good spot for me in NASCAR.
Yeah. I like to pick it and have confidence in my pick and ride it to the end. If you ain't first, you're last, right?
Yeah. Another sport that I do that same thing in is basketball, both college and NBA. Every single night, I'm probably one lineup, just because of how much news is moving around, and I don't have time to sit around and manage 20 plus teams in either one of those. But I can make changes on one.
Yeah, I have no idea. When I was doing basketball with you earlier this year, the college basketball, I guess would have been last fall. I was like, what in the world's going on? I've never played it until last fall.
Mm-hmm.
I said, there's like 5 minutes to lock, and we don't have a core yet, and there's all kinds of news coming in. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
I'm playing. I was like, this is way too intense for me right now.
Yeah, that's those are the good times when we got lineups posting 5 minutes before lock that you needed news for to have anything to be able to even build a lineup. You needed to know the starters. That's
and
fun
then you're
times.
Completely scrambling. You got family stuff going on in the house. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, this is not.
It'll be back soon enough. Around November here, we're gonna have that back. But first, we got college football, which it's got news, but it's not to the extent that college basketball and NBA even for that matter nowadays. If you play a lot of that, so I think that'll do it for us here on NASCAR. Got a lot of thoughts out there for tomorrow. Good luck to everybody this week.
Yep.
We'll be back. Where do we go next week? I haven't even looked at the schedule.
I haven't looked. I know Darlington's coming up soon, but I don't know if it's next week. I'm not sure.
It's Daytona. It's Daytona Saturday night, so we're gonna have to. We'll do some planning on. I said at the first of the show, of course, I said we're going to get these out every Saturday night. Now the race would be over if we got it out Saturday night next time. So we'll maybe we'll do it Friday night or something.
I'm glad Daytona is the weekend before the first week of college football. That makes sense. Saturday night, and then right into college football. It's amazing. I love it. That's why I got excited.
Yeah, so then it's Darlington on Labor Day weekend.
What is that race? Is it a Sunday night being Labor Day?
It is Sunday night, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And then that's the last one. So in Darlington instead of Daytona is the cutoff race for the playoffs now. But,
I think that's smarter. You got less chaos.
Yeah, I mean Daytona will still be crazy. Two races before, for sure.
Anybody could win that.
We'll see Austin Dillon. He'll be moving people for sure.
Well, he won't be the only one at that one. I promise you that.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So it'll be a different type show next week. I mean, I've done some shows for super speedways. It's just a completely different build process and variance type thing that we're playing around instead of building around Dominators. So we'll save that, of course, for next week, but more than likely late Friday night, maybe early Saturday morning, something like that for a show. And we'll get that out for sure. 7:30 next Saturday's the race. But good luck to everybody at Michigan, and let's have a good week.
Sounds good. Good luck, everybody.